A sweet slice of America. You needn't travel far to find a great piece of pie in the USA, and many are made with time-honored recipes that have barely changed in decades. From a crowd-pleasing key lime pie in Florida to a sugar cream slice in Indiana, these 25 delicious desserts have staying power. Sugar cream pie, Mrs. Wick's Restaurant, Winchester, Indiana, a classic Midwestern treat. Sugar cream pie is a deliciously sweet and indulgent dessert made with vanilla, cinnamon, and plenty of sugar. For a classic slice, head to Mrs. Wick's Restaurant in eastern Indiana. Wick's Pies has its roots in the 1940s, when Dwayne Wick Wickersham opened a restaurant selling sugar cream and other pies made to his grandmother's recipes. The desserts were a big hit, and 8 decades later they're still just as popular. Ahly Berry Pie, Duarte's Tavern, Pescadero, California. Duarte's Tavern dates right back to 1894, when it was established as a saloon and barbershop. Fast forward around 4 decades and Emma Duarte, wife of owner Frank Duarte, began making and serving pies to hungry customers. Her signature dessert soon became her sharp yet sweet Ahly Berry Pie, and some 90 years later it's still doled out to the delight of diners. The fruit is picked from the vegetable garden in the backyard. Strawberry Icebox Pie, Strawn's Eat Shop, various locations. Louisiana dessert is the star of this down-home diner, whose original location has been running for more than 75 years. While the daily lunch specials are a favorite with locals, it's the joint's time-honored icebox pie recipe that keeps punters pouring in. Flavors include chocolate, banana and seasonal peach, but you really can't beat the fresh strawberry, which sees a generous layer of berries topped with thick cream. Key Lime Pie, Pepe's Cafe, Key West, Florida. You can't visit the Sunshine State without trying key lime pie, and the oldest cafe in Key West serves up a mean slice. Pepe's Cafe was established in 1909, and still draws in customers with its big breakfasts, belly-busting burgers and, of course, its gloriously tart key lime pie. The addition of egg whites to the filling makes Pepe's offering extra light. From Big Macs to ketchup, you can read more stories about America's most historic foods here too. Apple pie, Lewes, Hanover, New Hampshire. There's nothing more American than apple pie, so they say, and the historic recipe at Lewes is always a winner. Standing some 5 inches tall, it's dubbed the mile-high apple pie, with thick buttery pastry crammed full of apples, sugar, and cinnamon. It's been a crowd pleaser since the 1940s, when Lou Bressett first opened his beloved diner. You'll find it in Hanover, a leafy college town in western New Hampshire. Boston Cream Pie, Omni Parker House, Boston, Massachusetts. While it's technically more a cake than a pie, no ode to America's historic desserts would be complete without this cream-filled classic. The Boston Cream Pie sees pillowy sponge layered with vanilla custard and topped with chocolate icing, and it was invented at Boston's Parker House in the 19th century. You can still sample this delectable sweet treat at its birthplace, and even get it delivered from the hotel to your door. Chicken Pot Pie, The Walnut Room, Chicago, Illinois. One for savory-toothed readers, The Walnut Room, the plush, long-standing restaurant in Macy's, Chicago, serves one of America's most famous chicken pot pies. It's well loved for its warming, veg-packed filling of chicken, corn, and other veggies, and its wonderfully flaky pastry top. Barely changed for decades, it's based on an original recipe from 1890. Black Bottom Pie, Gainsridge Dinner Club, Camden, Alabama. For 4 nights per week, this historic dinner club in central Alabama, operating since 1985, opens to the public. This is Southern cooking at its best, with the shrimp, fried green tomatoes and ribeye steak all menu favorites. But the star of the show is the black bottom pie, a southern-style dessert with a chocolatey base, a rum mousse or meringue and a puff of whipped cream, which has been served here for decades. Kahlua Mocha Parfait Pie, Paulettes Restaurant, Memphis, Tennessee. Paulettes Restaurant has been a Memphis institution for more than 4 decades, and their towering Kahlua Mocha Parfait Pie, or K-Pie for short, has been on the menu since day dot. The enduring dessert is a mountain of coffee ice cream in a delicious pecan coconut crust, with whipped cream, chocolate, and a glug of Kahlua to finish. A full pie weighs 6 pounds and is the brainchild of the eponymous Paulette herself. Toll House Pie, The Dodo, Salt Lake City, Utah. This down-to-earth bistro has been feeding the folks of Salt Lake City since the 1980s, and though it has moved location several times, its Moorish desserts have stood the test of time. There are 12 desserts to choose from each day, but the most famous of all is the Toll House Pie. It's whipped up by pastry chef Ramon Montelongo, who has worked here for decades, and is made with plenty of Nestle Toll House chocolate chips and finished with a cloud of whipped cream. Sweet Potato Pie, Simply Soulful Cafe, Seattle, Washington. While Simply Soulful Cafe is much younger than some other spots listed here, the roots of its historic sweet potato pie recipe stretch back much further. It began with Mississippi native Elizabeth Hammond, who was born in the 1920s. She eventually moved to Spokane, Washington, bringing with her a delectable recipe for traditional sweet potato pie. Today Elizabeth's daughter Barbara serves desserts made to her mother's age-old recipe at her Seattle shop, Simply Soulful Cafe. Chocolate Haupia Cream Pie, Ted's Bakery, Oahu, Hawaii. A proud sign hails Ted's Bakery as the home of the original chocolate Haupia cream pie. The bakery, on Oahu's North Shore, was opened in 1987 and, when the now famous chocolate Haupia cream pie was introduced, the punters came pouring in. It's not hard to see why. It's an indulgent treat with a buttery pastry, a rich chocolate base and plenty of cream, and its popularity shows little sign of waning. Chocolate Meringue Pie, Sugary's Bakery, New Albany, Mississippi. This celebrated bakery in northern Mississippi was founded in 1997, and turns out cakes and pies from scratch using generations-old family recipes. The star of the menu is the chocolate meringue pie, which founder Mary Russell makes from a recipe passed down by her great-grandmother. It's a mammoth dessert with a buttery crust, loads of indulgent chocolate filling and a whole pound of light meringue, and is only available on Fridays and holidays. Russell even offers cooking classes for anyone hoping to make their own. Grandma Smucker's Shoofly Pie, Bird in Hand Bakery and Cafe, Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania. Thought to have been developed by the Pennsylvania Dutch in the 19th century, shoofly pie is made up of molasses, brown sugar, and cinnamon cased in a flaky crust. Bird in Hand Bakery, located in Pennsylvania's Lancaster County, offers a taste of Amish country with their traditional wet bottom pie, which is baked from a historic family recipe. You can sample a slice here, or even order the shoofly pie to enjoy at home. Blueberry Pie, Emery's Berry Farm, New Egypt, New Jersey. Emery's Berry Farm has been a New Jersey tradition for more than 50 years. Their famous blueberry pies are available seasonally, when the summer brings a fresh bounty of berries, and you can even pick fruit from their patch if you want to whip up your own creations. Aside from their stellar pies, Emery's also has a corn maze in fall, hay rides, and plenty of animals to spot at this working farm. Coconut Cream Pie, Pioneer Pies, Pie Town, New Mexico. The coconut cream pie at this New Mexico spot has been made the same way for more than 25 years. It's the brainchild of Pioneer, a laid-back pie shop in the state's aptly named Pie Town, which opened back in 1995. Sample it by the slice at the No Frills spot and enjoy the light taste of coconut and creamy meringue. Buttermilk Pie, the Yesterday Cafe, Greensboro, Georgia. The Yesterday Cafe is a fitting name for this nostalgic spot in Greensboro, Georgia, which opened back in 1995. It's filled with black and white photos depicting Greensboro history and is also known as the home of the buttermilk pie. The cafe has been making their famed pie to the same recipe for almost 3 decades, and it's praised for its creamy custard-like filling and its perfectly baked shell. Strawberry Pie, Jim's Steak and Spaghetti House, Huntington, West Virginia. A steak and spaghetti house might not be the first place you'd expect to find a legendary slice of strawberry pie, but Jim's certainly delivers. Their annual Strawberry Pie Week, usually around the second week of May, began more than 40 years ago and is short, but incredibly sweet. During this time, the restaurant serves more than 10,000 slices of its delicious fruit pie. Expect queues out the door, and tons of sliced strawberries packed into a delicate crust under oodles of fresh cream. Marlboro Pie, Old Sturbridge Village, Sturbridge, Massachusetts. It's unusual that you'll find Marlboro Pie, also called Marlboro Pudding, on dessert menus these days, but you can watch it be made at Old Sturbridge Village, a living history museum dating back to 1946. Marlboro is a kind of custardy apple pie, brought to America by English settlers during colonial times. At the village, it's baked faithfully to a historic recipe that was discovered in a cookbook from 1796. Lemon Meringue Pie, O'Farrell Sisters Restaurant, Okoboji, Iowa. This old-school spot in Okoboji, Iowa sits right on the water, welcoming longtime punters with its all-day breakfasts, belly-busting sandwiches and, of course, its famous pies during spring and summer. The lemon meringue pie is the one to plump for, and has been served up to guests for around 70 years. It's deliciously tart and light, so it's no wonder it has stood the test of time. Whoopie Pie, Levity's Bakery, Lewiston, Maine. These Moorish pies aren't pies in the traditional sense. You can expect rich, moist chocolate cake filled with a generous puff of cream, instead of a buttery pastry and fruit filling. But they've become one of Maine's most well-loved desserts, and Levity's Bakery in Lewiston claim to be the original whoopie pie purveyor in the state. Come by for a taste of the traditional treat, still made as it was back in 1925. Find out more about the most historic places to eat in America too. Fried Pie, Arbuckle Mountain Fried Pies, Davis, Oklahoma. Nancy Fulton's traditional fried pies are so beloved that she's become known as the Fried Pie Lady in Oklahoma, and the flagship Arbuckle Mountain Fried Pies store in Davis has been joined by several franchises. Now in her 70s herself, Fulton has been making pies based on her grandmother's recipe for decades. Sample the staple fried pies filled with cherry, apricot, peach, and more. Pumpkin Pie, Ithaca Bakery, Ithaca, New York. The state of New York has plenty of bakeries, and little shortage of places to find a mouth-watering pumpkin pie, but the offering from Ithaca Bakery, which was established in 1910, has truly stood the test of time. Their delightfully sweet and spicy pumpkin pies were added to the menu in the 1980s, and they've proved a crowd favorite ever since. And we love that the pumpkin pie is available year-round. Pecan Pie, Flying Saucer Pie Company, Houston, Texas. This much-loved Houston pie shop first opened back in 1967, and claims to be the oldest in the city. Favorites include the fresh strawberry cream pie and, of course, the pecan pie, a Texas classic. Flying Saucer describe their pie recipes as traditional time-tested masterpieces, and the joints many customers seem to agree. Shaker Sugar Pie, Golden Lamb, Lebanon, Ohio. Tipped as the oldest continually operating restaurant in Ohio, Golden Lamb in Lebanon is well known for its Shaker Sugar Pie, a sweet dessert born from America's traditional Shaker communities. The 1803 established venue has been serving historic Sister Lizzie's Shaker sugar pie since the 1920s. It's made with brown sugar, light cream, vanilla, and cinnamon.
Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when we post new videos.